The sky over Eltos 5 cracked open like a broken mirror as fire rained from orbit. The first strike was silent, but the second lit the air with a thunder that made even the mountains tremble. No one on the planet expected war, especially not today. It was supposed to be a day of peace signing between the Human Alliance and the Valari Empire. Darren fell face first into the red dust, the shockwave lifting him off his feet. His ears rang and his heart pounded as if trying to escape. His chest. All around him, soldiers were screaming, not in battle rage but confusion. They were being attacked by their supposed allies. The Valari had turned without warning. Only hours before, Darren had been adjusting his dress uniform. He was not a high-ranking officer, just a translator sent to keep communication clear during the peace deal. He had even smiled at the strange but beautiful alien emissary assigned to his group, a Valari woman with purple skin, glowing silver tattoos, and strange, sharp teeth. Her name was Zalara. She had walked with pride, her voice smooth and cold when she spoke English. Darren had tried to break her ice with a few jokes, but she only watched him with unreadable eyes. Still, he had seen something flicker behind them, something curious. Something warm. Now amid the smoke and burning wreckage, he spotted her again. She was fighting, not with the humans, with the other Valari. Her blades danced like silver fire through the air, cutting down her own kind. Darren stared, not sure if he was hallucinating. She looked like a storm, graceful and deadly. She moved toward him fast, stepping over dead soldiers, her weapons slick with blood. He flinched, raising his hands, but she didn't strike. Instead, she pulled him up with surprising strength and tossed him behind a large metal crate. A second later, plasma bolts hissed through the air where he had been. "You want to live?" she said sharply. Her voice was just like before, smooth, icy. "Then follow me and stay down." Darren nodded, heart thudding like a drum. He didn't ask questions. He crawled after her, trying not to think about the bodies around them. They made it to a shattered building half a mile away. Inside was silence. Darren collapsed against the wall, panting. Zalara stood guard at the entrance, her body tense and glowing with life from her skin. She didn't look at him, not yet. But she had saved his life. Twice. What just happened? He asked finally. "Why did your people start this?" Her eyes moved to him slowly. There was a long pause before she answered. "Not my people," she said. "Not anymore." Then she finally sat beside him, her posture calm but ready to move. Darren watched her as she wiped her blades clean. He didn't understand why she looked so calm, so in control, after everything. Then again, she was trained for this. A warrior. Unlike him. "You knew they'd betray us," he said, "didn't you?" Her eyes flicked to his again. "I suspected," she replied. She turned to fully face him now. "But I didn't expect it today." Darren stared at her face. Up close, she was even more strange. Her silver tattoos shimmered like liquid metal, and her sharp teeth flashed when she spoke. She looked dangerous. But something about her made his chest feel warm. "You saved me," he said. "Why?" Her gaze was steady. "Because something about you," she paused. "Your presence feels like fire. Like heat I didn't know I wanted." Darren blinked. "That doesn't make any sense," he said. She tilted her head. "No," she replied softly. "But it's true." Outside, more explosions echoed in the distance. Darren leaned back and closed his eyes. He had trained for survival, but not for betrayal. Not for strange alien women saving his life and whispering words that made no sense. "What now?" he asked. She stood again and pulled him up. "We run," she said. "And if you want answers, stay alive long enough to earn them." Darren nodded. He didn't know why he trusted her, but he did. Maybe it was the way her hand lingered on his. Maybe it was the strange fire in her voice. Either way, he followed. They crossed a ravine filled with burning wreckage. The sky was dark, red with smoke, but above it, stars still blinked quietly. As they walked, Zalara seemed to slow. Her steps became uncertain. She glanced back at him, her face unreadable again. "Why do you not fear me?" she asked. He frowned. "Should I?" She opened her mouth slightly, showing her teeth again. "My kind burns through flesh. We were bred for war. You touch us, and you should feel pain. But when you touched my hand back there, it wasn't pain I felt. It was hunger. Heat." Darren stopped walking. His hand went to his own chest. He remembered. The touch. The way her skin had shocked him, not cold, not hot, but both. Like lightning, like something alive. "I don't know what this is," he said. "But I don't want to let go yet." She walked closer, inches from his face now. Her eyes were bright, glowing. Her voice dropped low. "Then don't." Her breath brushed his skin. He reached out without thinking and touched her cheek. She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into it slightly, her skin warm against his fingers. Suddenly, her body shuddered. She stepped back quickly, eyes wide. "It burns," she said in a whisper. "Your touch, it burns. And yet," she shook her head. "I crave more." Darren stared at her, stunned. Then he understood. Her biology was reacting, or maybe his was. Either way, something new had begun. Whatever war had started between their people, something else had awakened between them. It wasn't just survival now. It was something stronger, something deeper. And neither of them was ready for what came next. Asterisk asterisk. Darren woke to the smell of ash and the soft hum of alien machinery. He had slept sitting against a cold steel wall, with Zalara sitting nearby, her eyes open the whole time. She hadn't slept. She didn't blink much either. She only watched. Him in silence, like a predator unsure if it wanted to hunt or protect. The safe house was hidden beneath the rubble of a crashed Valari scout ship. There were no other humans around, no soldiers, no voices, only her. And him. He stood slowly, his back aching from the hard floor. "Are we safe here?" he asked. She nodded once. "For now." He watched her long fingers clean the sharp edges of her weapon again. It was a habit, constant, controlled, just like everything else about her. "I dreamed of you," he said quietly. "But you weren't like this." She looked up, one brow raised. "How was I?" Darren hesitated, smiling. "You were laughing." Zalara blinked once. "I do not smile." Then, after a pause, she added, "At least not yet." He couldn't tell if she was joking. But the way her eyes softened made his chest feel warm again. He remembered her words from the day before. She had said his touch burned. But now she sat so close, only a hand's reach away. Wasn't she afraid of the fire? Darren slowly moved toward her and sat beside her. His fingers brushed against hers, testing the reaction. Her body tensed, then relaxed. She didn't pull away. She didn't move. But her voice came low, almost like a breath. "Again, do it again." He gently slid his fingers along hers. Her skin was warm, almost too warm, like heated stone. But soft, smooth. He looked at her face and saw something new there. Not fear. Not anger, but hunger. Not for food, for something else. For contact. "The Valari," he said, breaking the silence, "are known for keeping distance. You don't touch others. You don't even shake hands." She nodded. "We fear loss of control. We fear the bond. Physical contact awakens things we cannot contain." He frowned. "Then why me?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes looked down at their hands. His thumb rested over hers now. "I don't know," she said. "But when you touch me, it feels like waking from sleep I didn't know I was in." Outside, the sound of fighters roared past. Darren turned his head. As dust fell from the ceiling, the war hadn't ended. Not yet. But here, inside this broken chamber, Something strange and fragile was growing between them. He reached up and touched her jawline. Her skin glowed faintly where his fingers passed. She closed her eyes slowly, leaning into the warmth. "Does it hurt?" he asked. "Yes," she whispered. "But I want it." They sat like that for minutes, maybe more. The heat between them was not just from their bodies. It was something deeper. Like their souls were reaching toward each other through all the scars, all the blood, all the broken history. Suddenly, Zalara opened her eyes. "We must move," she said. "Your soldiers will come soon. If they find me with you, they will not ask questions. They will shoot." Darren's heart dropped. He knew she was right. "Then we don't let them find us." She looked at him with surprise. "You would run with me?" He nodded. "You saved my life. You fought your own kind. I don't know why, but I won't leave you." A strange sound escaped her lips. A soft, deep noise. Not a laugh, not a growl. Something in between. He stood and offered her his hand. She took it without hesitation. Her grip was strong, electric. As they stepped out of the safe house, the heat of the sun struck them. The sky was still filled with smoke trails and distant fire. War wasn't waiting. It had already come. They moved through burned fields and broken trees. At one point, Darren tripped and nearly fell into a crater. Zalara caught him with one hand, her strength pulling him back with ease. Her other hand touched his chest as if checking his heartbeat. She left it there longer than needed. "You are soft," she said, "fragile. And you're fire and steel," he replied. She didn't deny it. She just kept walking, but now their shoulders touched, just lightly. But it was enough. They found a cave hidden beneath roots of a fallen tree. Zalara scanned the area with a strange device before nodding. "We'll rest here, for a moment." Inside, the air was cooler, but still held the scent of smoke. Darren sat first. She joined him after checking the shadows. He watched her from the side. Her face looked softer now. Her tattoos didn't shine as much in the dark, but her eyes still glowed. "Is it true what they say?" he asked. "That Velari can bond for life through touch?" She turned to him slowly. "Yes, but not easily, and never with humans." Until now, Darren's throat felt dry. He didn't know what to say. She moved closer. "You asked many questions," she whispered. "Now I will ask one." He nodded. "Do you want this?" She said, "Whatever this heat between us is, it will change us. Forever." His answer was not in words. He reached out and touched her neck gently. Her body trembled. She leaned in. Their foreheads touched. His breath caught in his throat. He felt her body pulsing with fire under her skin. But he didn't pull back. "Yes," he said at last, "I want this. Even if I don't understand it yet." Her lips hovered near his. She was not cold anymore, not distant. She was alive. Burning, like him. In that moment, they were not soldier and alien, not human and Velari. They were something new. Something dangerous. And something worth fighting for. They left the cave before sunrise. The stars still burned overhead, but the air had shifted. There was movement in the trees. The war had come closer. Darren tightened the straps of his pack. Zalara stood beside him, silent, scanning the horizon. With sharp eyes, she moved like a shadow, fast and sure. Darren tried to match her steps, but his body ached. His muscles were tired, and his mind kept going back to the night before. The touch. The heat. The way she had leaned into him, trembling like she didn't understand her own body. He looked at her again as they moved through the forest. She was different now. Not just in the way she looked at him, but in the way she carried herself. Her face was calm, but her eyes flicked toward him more often. There was a question behind them. A question she didn't ask yet. Darren finally broke the silence. "Where are we going?" She answered without stopping. "To the ruins. Old Velari." Tech is buried there. If I can power it up, we might contact someone who doesn't want us dead." He nodded. It was the first plan that made sense since the war began. They reached a ridge and looked down into a valley filled with fog. Tall black structures rose out of the mist, the ruins. They looked dead, broken by time, but something about them pulsed with strange energy. Solara's face lit with recognition. "This place was hidden for centuries," she said. "Only high warriors knew of it. I learned about it during exile training. No one else should know it exists." Darren stared down. "Then why does it feel like someone's already here?" She turned sharply. They dropped low, crawling into the valley. Every step brought them closer to the silence. Darren's heart beat faster. His hand brushed against hers again. She didn't pull away. In fact, she gripped it tightly for 1 second before letting go. At the edge of the ruins, they found signs of entry. Footprints. Scorch marks. Burned moss. Someone had come through. "Not Velari," Zalara whispered. "These marks are human." Darren looked confused. "Then maybe it's a search team?" She shook her head. "Or it's something worse." They entered the ruins through a cracked wall. Inside, alien symbols glowed faintly on stone surfaces. It felt ancient and alive. The light reflected on Zalara's skin, making her markings pulse. Her body looked like it belonged in this place. Darren reached out and touched one of the glowing panels. It was warm. The lights grew stronger. A voice filled the chamber in a language he didn't know. Zalara stepped forward and placed her palm on the wall. The voice stopped. The lights turned blue. "It recognizes my blood," she said. "This place is still awake." Darren looked at her. "What is this place?" She turned to him with a look he hadn't seen before. It was reverence. "This is where our warriors were made. Our genes, our instincts. This is where the fire began." A sound echoed from the far hallway. Footsteps. Heavy. Fast. Darren and Zalara ducked behind a pillar. A squad of armored humans entered the chamber. They were fully geared, weapons raised. The leader barked orders. "Scan the place. Find the alien. Shoot the traitor if you see him." Darren's chest clenched. They were here for him. Or for her. Or maybe both. He looked at Zalara. Her eyes were glowing again, but this time, not with desire. With rage, her hand moved to her weapon. He placed a hand on her arm. "Not yet," he whispered. She didn't move. The soldiers moved past. One of them stopped and looked toward their hiding place. Darren held his breath. The soldier took a step closer. Zalara raised her blade. Before he could call out, she threw something small toward a corner. A noise burst from the other side of the room. The soldier turned and moved toward the sound. The rest followed. As soon as the chamber emptied, Zalara grabbed Darren's hand. "We go now." They ran through another hallway, turning corners fast, the blue lights flashing brighter as they moved. At the center of the ruins, they found a chamber with a large console. Zalara ran to it and placed her hand on a glowing plate. "This is the core. I can activate the system. But once I do, we must run." Darren nodded. "Do it." The console came to life with a deep hum. Symbols flashed. Lights shifted. A loud, mechanical sound echoed through the ruins. Somewhere above, something moved. Doors unlocked. Power flowed through the walls. The ruins weren't ruins anymore. They were waking up. Behind them, voices shouted. The soldiers had found their trail. Zalara turned and held her weapon high. "Get ready," she said. Darren picked up a broken metal bar. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. He stood beside her. Ready, the soldiers stormed into the room. The first one didn't even see the blade before it struck. Zalara moved like lightning. Darren swung the bar and knocked another soldier off balance. Shots fired. Sparks flew. The room shook. One soldier raised his rifle toward Darren. Solara stepped in front and took the blast to her side. She screamed. The sound pierced the air like metal tearing. Darren caught her before she fell. Her body was hot, burning in his arms. "No," he said. "Stay with me." She opened her eyes slowly. "It burns again," she whispered. "But this time it's not your touch, it's pain." He pressed her close. "You're not dying, not like this." She smiled weakly. "You are fire. And I am drawn to you." The console behind them glowed brighter. A voice in Valari echoed through the room. A shield formed around them. The remaining soldiers tried to break in, but the light held. Solara's body trembled, but she was alive. Barely. Darren looked around. "This place is protecting us," he said. Solara nodded weakly. "It knows me. It knows you now, too." She reached for his hand. "Stay with me. Let the fire grow." He held her tightly. The bond between them wasn't a mistake. It was fate. Darren held Solara in his arms as the ancient shield flickered around them. The soldiers outside the barrier shouted, fired their weapons, and cursed, but none could break through. Inside, the air was warm and silent. The light pulsing from the walls felt alive. Solara winced as she sat up. Her side was burned from the plasma shot. The wound glowed with red and purple veins, her alien blood reacting strangely to the human weapon. Darren tore a piece of cloth from his jacket and pressed it gently against the wound. She didn't scream. Her eyes stayed locked on his. "It hurts," she whispered, "but not like before. This pain, I can survive it." Darren nodded. "You will survive it. I'm not letting you go." He tied the cloth tightly. Her skin felt too hot, but she didn't pull away. The console behind them glowed brighter. A new doorway opened in the far wall, revealing a staircase leading deeper underground. Solara looked at it, and then at Darren. "This place is trying to show us something," she said. "It recognizes the bond." Darren helped her to her feet. She leaned on him slightly, her breath shallow. Still, her steps were strong. She didn't ask for help, but she didn't push him away either. Together, they descended into the ancient heart of the Valari sanctuary. The walls were covered in glowing symbols. As they walked, the lights followed them. It was as if the ruins were watching, guiding. At the bottom, they reached a large chamber filled with machines. In the center stood a glowing pillar, humming with energy. Solara stepped forward and placed her hand on it. The lights changed from blue to gold. The air thickened. A soft voice filled the room, speaking in ancient Valari. Solara translated in a whisper. "Welcome, bonded ones. You stand at the edge of transformation." Darren looked confused. "Transformation into what?" Solara didn't answer immediately. Her eyes were wide. "This place, it's a relic of the first flame. It was built to awaken and strengthen the Valari through chosen bonds. It uses ancient energy to enhance the connection between two souls." Darren's heart beat faster. "Are you saying this place is reacting to us? To what's between us?" She nodded slowly. "It sees the fire. It sees the hunger. It will fan the flame if we allow it." Before he could speak, the floor glowed beneath their feet. A soft pulse of light rose through their bodies. Solara gasped and dropped to her knees. Darren rushed to her side, but he felt the energy too. It wasn't painful. It was heat and memory and emotion flooding his veins. He saw flashes. Her training, her battles, her loneliness, her exile. Then she saw his Earth cities, laughter, loss, his face as a boy. His dreams, his heartbreaks. They weren't just sharing energy. They were seeing each other's truths. When it ended, both collapsed against the pillar, breathing hard. Solara reached for his hand. "Now you know me," she said. "And you still stay." Darren held her tighter. "Now I understand why I was drawn to you. It wasn't chance. It was this fire pulling us together. Above them, the ceiling shook. Explosions rocked the ground. The soldiers hadn't given up. Solara stood again, stronger now. Her body glowed. With new power, the wound on her side was closing slowly. The pillar had done more than just reveal the bond. It had healed her. "We can't stay here," she said. "They'll break through eventually." Darren nodded. "Then we make our way out, together." She looked at him with fire in her eyes. "Together means you're part of this now. You're not just human, you're mine." Bound, they climbed the stairs as the floor trembled beneath them. When they reached the top, the shield around the chamber faded. The soldiers were gone, but smoke filled the air. The structure was falling. The ruins were collapsing from the energy surge. They ran through falling debris, dodging stone blocks and sparks. At the final exit, a large metal beam crashed down, separating them. Solara screamed his name and tried to lift it. Darren pushed from the other side. "I'm not leaving you," he shouted. "I'm here." With a growl, Solara summoned the last of her strength and slammed her hand against the stone floor. A burst of golden light erupted from her palm. The beam lifted just enough for Darren to roll under it. He landed beside her, chest heaving. They burst out into the open air as the ruins collapsed behind them. Dust and smoke filled the sky. But they were alive. They stood on the ridge, staring down at the burning valley. The war still raged beyond the trees. Darren turned to her. "What now?" She touched his cheek. Her eyes were calm. "Now we run. Not from the war, but toward something new. A life shaped by fire. A bond no one can break." They walked into the forest, hand in hand. The sun had started to rise, casting gold over the trees. For the first time since the attack, the air felt clean, alive, hopeful. The flame between them burned bright. It would never fade now, asterisk. The forest grew denser as they moved farther from the ruins. Morning light filtered through the high leaves, painting gold over the broken ground. Solara walked beside Darren in silence, her steps slow but steady. Her body had healed, but her mind was heavy. She stopped suddenly. Her eyes scanned the trees. "They're following," she said. "A drone. Light surveillance. Not armed, but not alone either." Darren frowned. "They're tracking us." She nodded. "It means they still want me dead. And now you too." They moved quickly, deeper into the woods. Birds scattered as they ran. The ground shifted from hard soil to rocky paths. Darren's lungs burned with each breath, but he didn't stop. He knew the hunters would be close. He could feel it. After an hour, they found an abandoned cabin built into a hillside. The structure was old, made by someone long gone. Moss grew over the roof, but the door still held. Solara pushed it open with her shoulder. Inside it was dark and cool. Darren lit a small lantern he found on a shelf. The glow filled the space. There were no windows, just stone walls and a rotting bed. He checked the corners and looked back at Solara. "It's not much, but we can hide here for now." She walked to the far wall and sat down, her back resting against the stone. Her breath was slow. Her eyes found his. "The bond is changing me," she said. "I feel it in every part of me, my thoughts, my blood, even my senses. They all point to you." Darren knelt in front of her. "Is that a good thing?" She didn't smile, but her voice softened. "Yes, and no. The Valari are not meant to change. We're designed to follow orders, fight, burn. But you've made something inside me wake up." "Something wild," he touched. Her hand, her fingers closed around his. The heat returned. "Not burning, not painful, just alive. Then let it grow," he said. "You don't have to be what they made you. You can be more. With me." She reached up and touched his face. Her claws were retracted, soft now. "When you say things like that, the fire in me grows harder to control. It feeds on your words, your touch. It wants more than I thought possible." Darren leaned closer. Their foreheads touched again. The air between them was charged. Every breath felt like a promise, every heartbeat like thunder. Then stop holding. Back, he whispered. I'm not afraid of the fire. Her lips found his. It wasn't gentle. It was fierce, hungry. Her sharp teeth grazed his skin, but he didn't flinch. The fire between them exploded into something that pulled at their minds and bodies. The bond deepened in that moment. When they broke apart, her eyes glowed brighter. It's done now, she said. The bond is complete. You're part of me, and I am part of you. Darren nodded. He could feel it too. Like a second heartbeat pulsing beneath his own. Outside, a high-pitched whir grew louder. The drone had found them. Zalara jumped to her feet, her body tense. We have to move. Now. Darren grabbed the lantern and followed her out. The forest was darker than before. The drone hovered above the trees. They ran again. Through brush and mud. Through roots and branches. Plasma shots rained down behind them. One beam struck a tree near Darren, splitting it in half. Zalara turned and threw a blade. The drone exploded in a burst of light, but it was too late. The signal had gone out. They were marked. Zalara grabbed his hand. There's one place left, she said. My people will hunt us both. But there's a base. A hidden outpost. If we get there, we can send a message across the stars. Darren nodded. He didn't ask questions. He trusted her now. Not just with his life, with everything. They ran through the wild until they reached the cliffs. Below them, a series of dark tunnels stretched into the stone. This way, Zalara said. It's not far now, but they'll come fast. They dropped into the tunnels. The air was cold and damp. Strange lights blinked from the walls. The deeper they went, the quieter the world above became. In the final chamber, a sleek machine stood waiting. A small console glowed with a pulsing green light. Zalara moved quickly, placing her palm against it. The machine whirred to life. A blue projection lit the room. A symbol of the Valari appeared in the air. This will open a gateway, she said. A portal. It will take us beyond their reach. But only for a short time. They'll follow, always. Darren stepped closer. Then let them. As long as we're together, I don't care where we go. She turned to him. Her eyes shimmered. Do you mean that? He took her hands in his. I never meant anything more. The machine clicked. The portal opened. A ring of light spun before them. Warm wind rushed from its center. She held his hand tightly. Where it takes us, I don't know, she said. But I do know this. Your touch has burned through every wall I built, and I never want to feel cold again. He kissed her once more. The fire between them burned steady, strong, endless. Together, they stepped into the light. The world behind them collapsed into war, but ahead of them was a new path. One built from fire, from choice, from a bond stronger than any weapon. Asterisk. The light swallowed them whole. For a moment, there was nothing but heat and motion. Then the brightness faded, and Darren found himself standing in a wide-open valley under a violet sky. Strange plants swayed in the wind. The ground shimmered. With faint energy, Zalara stood beside him, breathing steady. Her body glowed faintly. The portal closed behind them with a soft hum. They were alone, far from the war, but not safe yet. She scanned the horizon with narrowed eyes. We're on Valari Prime, the old side. Abandoned after the Great Purge. Darren looked around. The place felt empty but alive. The wind carried distant sounds, like voices or echoes. Does anyone live here now? He asked. She shook her head. No one who follows the Empire. Only those who refuse to kneel. Exiles, rebels. They moved through the strange land slowly. The sun above was large and warm. Darren could feel the bond. Humming between them, a steady pulse that linked their minds and hearts. Zalara walked ahead, her steps confident. But something was on her mind. After a while, they found a small structure built into the rocks. It was old, but intact. Inside were symbols carved into the walls and a single sleeping mat. Zalara sat down and pulled her hair back, revealing more glowing marks along her neck. Darren knelt beside her. "What is this place?" She ran her fingers along one carving. "A temple, not to gods, to fire, to the old way. Before the Velari became slaves to logic and control. Before we burned our emotions out," he sat with her. The silence felt heavy. "But not painful. You miss it," he said. "The old way." She looked at him. "I never knew it. I was born into war. Bred for discipline. Taught to strike, not feel. But now I wonder what we lost when we gave up the fire inside." Darren reached for her hand. Her fingers curled around his without hesitation. "You didn't lose it," he said. "You just forgot. Now it's awake again." She stared at their hands. "And you're the reason. A human, soft, fragile, and yet your fire burns hotter than any I've ever seen." Outside, the wind shifted. A sound echoed through the rocks. Zalara stood at once. "They found us," she said. "The Empire sent hunters through the rift. They won't stop now." Darren rose to his feet. "Then we fight." She looked at him. Her eyes were filled with both pride and fear. "You're not trained. You're not one of us." He stepped forward. "But I am yours." "That's enough." She pressed her forehead to his for a moment. "Then stay close. Burn with me." They stepped out of the temple as black shapes moved across the sky. Velari. War drones, sleek, fast, deadly. Behind them, figures appeared on the cliffs, armored hunters with rifles aimed and blades drawn. The leader called out in a harsh voice, "Zalara, return now. Break the bond. The council offers mercy if you surrender the human." She didn't answer. Darren tightened his grip on her hand. She stepped forward, her voice sharp and clear. "Tell the council this. I am no longer theirs. I burn for myself now, and I burn with him." The leader raised a hand. The soldiers moved forward. The drones dove. Zalara pulled Darren behind her and summoned energy from the air. Her body lit up with gold fire. A barrier formed in front of them. Plasma hit it but bounced away. Darren grabbed a fallen weapon from the ground. It was old, but it sparked to life. In his grip, he stood beside her, eyes locked on the enemy. "We make our stand here," he said. "Together." Zalara's blade appeared in her hand, glowing with power. They fought side by side as the hunters closed in. Darren moved quickly, striking with purpose. He wasn't trained, but his instincts were sharp. Zalara fought like a storm, her every move filled with rage and beauty. Fire exploded from her fingertips. The battle shook the valley. One drone broke through and fired at Darren. Zalara jumped in front of him and caught the blast on her blade. She turned and struck the drone down with one clean slice. Darren helped her to her feet. "You still with me?" he asked. She nodded. "More." Soldiers surrounded them. They were trapped. The air was thick with heat and smoke. Then the ground beneath them began to glow. The old temple responded to their fire. The carvings lit up. The earth cracked open. A wave of pure energy surged outward. The enemy was thrown back. The drones crashed into the cliffs. Zalara stood tall, the energy wrapping around her like armor. Darren felt it too, the fire rising in him, not burning, but transforming. They weren't just bonded now. They were something more. The hunters fled. The valley went still. Only the wind remained. Zalara fell to her knees, breathing hard. Darren caught her before she dropped. "It's over," he said. "For now." She replied. "But they'll return, stronger, angrier. The fire in us is something they fear." He helped her back into the temple. They sat together on the mat, arms around each other. The bond between them had changed again. It was no longer just heat. It was power. It was unity. It was love forged in the heart of war. Zalara leaned into him, her voice soft. "Whatever comes next, I'll face it with you." Darren kissed her forehead. "We'll face it together." Always. The fire within them glowed steady. It would never be extinguished. The temple was quiet again. The battle had ended, but the ground still hummed with energy. Darren sat beside Zalara, both of them breathing in silence. The bond between them was no longer just warmth. It was life, shared, complete, stronger than pain or war. Morning light broke through cracks in the stone walls. Outside, the valley was still. No drones circled. No soldiers marched. For the first time since the attack on Eltros 5, there was peace. But Darren knew it would not last. The Empire did not forgive. Zalara stood slowly, her body still glowing from the firestorm she unleashed. Her wounds were gone. Her strength had returned. She looked toward the sun. They will come again, with more ships, more blades. But this world has tasted defiance. It remembers what we are. Darren walked beside her. Then let them come. We'll light every sky with fire they can't put out. She looked at him with pride. You speak like one of us now, he smiled. I don't feel like a human anymore. Not fully. I feel something more. She stepped close, placing her hand on his chest. That feeling is the flame. It binds us, shapes us. You carry it now, it won't fade. Darren placed his hand over hers. Then we'll spread it. Not just to fight. To change what they fear. They spent the day restoring the temple. Ancient tech responded to their presence. Lights turned on. Walls strengthened. The bond had awakened the place, and it accepted them as its new heart. Symbols once forgotten now glowed like stars. This place was their shield. By nightfall, Zalara lit a fire in the center of the chamber. She sat beside it, watching the flames. With steady eyes. Long ago, before the Empire, the Valari lived by fire. They believed touch was holy. Connection was power. Love was purpose. Then came the silence. Darren listened quietly. You're bringing that truth back. You broke their silence. She turned to him. No, you did. You were never meant to be part of this. But you burned through my soul like nothing I've known. You reminded me that I'm more than what they built. He leaned closer. The fire danced in her eyes. Then let's become something new. Not human, not Valari, just us. She nodded. A bond without borders, a future built by choice. He held her hand. The fire between them pulsed again. Suddenly, a signal pinged from the console. Someone was trying to connect. Zalara stood and approached it carefully. A voice crackled through, old and rough. If you can hear this, I am part of the Free Valari. We saw the energy burst. We're coming. Do not fear. You are not alone. She looked at Darren. He stepped forward. Others like you? She nodded. Exiles, outcasts, survivors who still carry the old ways. If they join us, the flame will spread faster than the Empire can stop it. He smiled. Then light the way. By the next morning, a small vessel landed near the temple. The crew that stepped out looked rough, scarred, but their eyes held recognition when they saw Zalara. They bowed slightly. One of them spoke. You are the Flameborn. The one who chose the bond, Zalara answered with strength. And this is the human who burned through me. Together, we'll change what you fear. Together, we are the fire. The crew welcomed them aboard. Plans were made, messages sent. The temple became a base, a symbol. A spark. Days passed. More joined. Valari who had run from the war. Humans who questioned the commands of their leaders. The bond between Darren and Zalara was not a secret. It was a beacon. Proof that love could form across stars and bloodlines. In the nights that followed, they would stand on the ridge above the valley, watching stars fall, and rise again. Zalara once said the stars looked cold to her. But now, standing beside him, she felt warmth. He had melted her walls. She had reshaped his soul. He held her close. "Do you regret it?" he asked. She answered, without pause, "Never. Your touch lit a fire I never knew I needed. I crave it still. I always will." He kissed her gently. "Then we'll keep burning. For each other. For all who follow." From that day on, stories spread across the outer worlds. Tales of a human whose touch awakened a warrior. Of a bond that burned brighter than any command. Of two souls who chose each other and lit the galaxy with something greater than war. And though the Empire hunted them, they could never kill the fire.